I want to thank Microsoft for inviting Commvault to present today. My name is Lenny Daniele. I've been with Commvault for over 21 years. I've been doing storage for 30. I've been doing this a long time. Our partnership with Microsoft goes back a long time, and I'm going to get into that first, and then we're going to do a bunch of demos. So it's going to be a little bit of some PowerPoint, and then we'll get right into product. So let's have some fun. So basically, managing data drives transformation. So the old world, I'm an old guy. I've been around a long time, so we see what the old world used to look like, and some of us go back even further than this. And then now the new world, the cloud, right? The future is the cloud. So I've been doing this a long time, like I said. I see it. Everything is happening quickly. People are moving their workloads, moving their storage. Everything is going to the cloud. So that's where the future is, and that's where Commvault's future is too. So public and private cloud, right? So of course we have a private cloud, and pretty much everybody's data center looks something like this. So it's just a little funny thing that I put out there for laughs and giggles. Most importantly, Commvault supports 30 different cloud technologies. Obviously, Azure is our top partner. We go to war with them all the time. That's my role with Commvault, is pushing Azure with Commvault. So they're our top technology partner for the cloud. But we have experience with all of them, so there's no vendor lock with Commvault, and that's really important to understand. Search targets compute environments and VM full capabilities to be able to move your VM up into Hyper-V, auto provision this stuff, and be on your way. So we can help that and save you a lot of money. I'll show you some interesting slides on that later. And then obviously, make sure the systems that you're going to go into are open systems, right? You don't want to be vendor locked. So it's important to understand those technologies. Perfect storm obviously is coming. We all know it. How many devices, right? So back in 2003, people had maybe one device to every 7 people. Then it went 1-to-1 in 2010. And these are real world numbers. 2015, 3 devices to every person. And what they figure in the future is 7 devices. I know I have 4 or 5, so I'm not too far off from 2020. So what I'm trying to make a point of here is these devices all create data. Data is going somewhere, and most of it today is going to the cloud, which means you need really strong data management to be able to manage this data, right? So all your data is important, whether it's on-prem, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on tape. Accessibility to that data is the most important thing for everybody. So that's what Commvault brings to the table, whether your data is sitting in the cloud or in O365 or in SharePoint OneDrive, or it's Oracle on-prem or it's SAP. Commvault has access to it, indexes it, and we can give you really good data information about that data. So it's all under guidelines. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be smart, lights-out data management of this stuff. You don't want to have 3, 4, 5 systems managing this stuff. It's just too complicated today. So again, I talked about eliminating vendor lock and reduction in technologies used, and we're going to see a slide on that later. And then, of course, most importantly, across all those dynamics, whether it's hybrid, polycloud, multi-cloud, on-prem data, tape data, make sure it's searchable. And that's really what we're based upon, as our searching is spectacular stuff, and you're going to see it in our demo coming up. So this slide kind of shows data management today, right? So let's define it from a Commvault perspective. So data recovery and protection, obviously granular recovery of applications, disaster recovery, tiered storage capabilities, release independence, meaning I can take releases of Exchange and move them forward for you with SharePoint, move that forward to you, and then have all that data, whether it's virtualized or not, content aware and available to you, most importantly, right? Compliance, governance, and archiving. These are important pieces of the puzzle. Can we migrate this data off of our very expensive storage, move it to a tiered storage such as Azure Cool Storage, so I can utilize the new Microsoft Cool Storage, which is cheap, cheap storage today. So, and that gives you all compliance and regulations. So now that I'm indexing that data, I can do things with it, and then that gives you control and access of it. Provisioning. So if you're a big VMware shop, I can actually take your VMware from VMDKs, auto-provision them in Hyper-V, and move them up into Azure for you for compute. And then you can shut them down when you're not in use and turn them back up, which gives you great savings and costs and everything else. So there's lots of things we can get into, but that's the top of the thing. So analytics, intelligence, reporting, that's all built into our stuff. I talked about the indexing. To me, that's the most critical piece to our product. And then assist in notification of ransomware. This is new for us. We just added this feature, so we're going to give notifications out if ransomware is running wild in your organization. And then obviously getting the laptop, desktop, edge support to the mobile users and all that stuff. Commvault has that covered for you too. Encryption, deduplication, all part of our product, right? It goes throughout all our application support, all our database support, and before we move it to the cloud, and it goes up into Azure, and we can do deduplication on a global level in Azure today. So very powerful dedupe. It's software-driven, and this whole product is software-driven, and you'll see that soon. So, when we really get into the industry today, this kind of slide shows the industry, right? So if we look across the top, you'll see the Commvault, the Veritasi's, the CA Technologies, the IBMs, the EMC Dells. You could all read this stuff. Standalones, all one-trick ponies to the right. And this is all the technology to the left that you need to be able to manage your enterprise, right? So these are all data management facts that without these things, you're going to be in trouble to manage your data. So the good thing for Commvault is we run on Windows. We're a software-based product. Azure is an integrated solution, and you'll see that later. I'll be able to click through and send data to it. And all of this stuff is one product to do it. And that's the most important thing to understand. It's not like if you look in this chart and you have to buy 3 or 4 or 5 of these products to be able to do what you need to be able to give your organization the right enterprise-level data management. With Commvault, one product to do it. So how about some really good information about Commvault, why we're the best? Gartner, right? 7 years, spanning 6 straight cycles. Our marketing department is looking how close over here we are, how far away we are from the competition. This was like the furthest anybody's ever been in this quadrant. So, we are good at what we do. Gartner knows it, and, this is what we do. We build data management software, nothing else. And that's our mantra. So, Microsoft Partner of the Year, very proud of that. It was over 3,000 partners. Commvault was picked for a server platform, and hopefully this year we'll win another one. So we're going to transition now a little bit to why Microsoft and Commvault. What are the reasons you would want to do this kind of a configuration or an enterprise, right? And there's many reasons why that this organization has been working together with Microsoft to build out our platform. And most importantly is joint usages, right? So for the last 9 years plus, Azure support, we've had it since it was called, Microsoft Cloud. 7 years we've been having our Commvault.com and everything riding up there and running in there. I mean, people don't even know it, but that's where our stuff runs. 17 years, this is going to date me, so this is it. 17 years data management and protection for the Office Products Group. I actually did these installs. So back in the day, these were the installs that I did. This was our testing ground for Microsoft to see how good our products were, and we continued to grow. And as you'll see in this next one, 15 years in Xbox, and this is probably one of the most complex SQL environment and largest MSP environments on the planet. And we've been managing for a long, long time. So we're really good at what we do, especially with the applications and support for all this stuff. And the last 3 years, Microsoft internal GFS, their IT internal standard, is Commvault. They're pushing 4 petabytes a month to Azure with us today. We're managing over, I know this number's wrong, it's up to 50 petabytes. They've been archiving stuff in and out, but these are live numbers of stuff that we've moved with Microsoft to the cloud for them. So it's pretty important, our relationship to us. An interesting case study for us, right? This is a fashion retailer that we helped out. And the challenges were they had a very expensive, complex DR environment where they had raised floor from one site to another site. It was co-located. It was very expensive. And it was costing them $80,000 a month to rent space for the colo to do the disaster recovery. They wound up missing their 4-hour recovery window. So they had a recent outage and there's a problem, so they decide got to go out and look around. And Commvault gets an opportunity to come in and pitch Azure as the disaster recovery backend. So we come in, we do the implementation, we leverage the drive shipping import-export feature that Microsoft has for seeding the cloud. They use Azure, and the disaster recovery comes together. The benefits were they now spend $60,000 a year rather than $80,000 a month on a DR solution using Azure. They achieved a 4-hour RTO, and they extended their retention from 14 to 30 days while reducing their overall TCO. Pretty powerful stuff here. And this is from moving from on-prem locations to the cloud. So this is important to understand. Moving your data center to disaster recovery tech. Azure is possible, and it's very, very cost-effective. So, this is just some data points about cloud-centric data management. Manage, heterogeneous, storage-agnostic, polycloud. Most important, you got to be able to manage all your data across all data types, whether it's in O365, again, in SharePoint Online, it's in Oracle data, it's SAP data, some of it's in the cloud, some is on tape. We do it all. So the important thing is to be able to manage all that data across all those platforms, all those tiers, right? Create data requirements for all this stuff. Data part of a hybrid environment, obviously, and failover for for VMs. We talked about this earlier, just with this case study I just showed you earlier. So the good thing, Commvault One solution enabling all of this, right? So that's the basis of what we're trying to say here. Is it's one solution to do all your data management across all data types and implement the cloud as you're doing that migration up to it. So a couple of firsts about Commvault and Azure. First, ISV to be Azure certified. Back in TechEd 2014, we were the first to be supporting geo-replication. First one to support on day one import-export feature, express route, and obviously pool storage, which Microsoft just announced. So we support it as of today. All our deduplication technology, encryption technology, all works within Azure too. So it's all good for you. So with that, we're going to get to some really fun live demos. We're going to have some fun stuff here. And I want to thank everybody for being on the call. So let's get to it. So first things first, right? So this is the Commvault Interface, okay? This is important because it's where everything is done, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show backup, what I consider backup, because Commvault's known as a backup company, but I consider us a data management company. And as I go through this demo, you'll start to understand what I'm talking about. So within this backup, what we're going to see is I'm going to give you the availability to come into Active Directory, drive down into the DC, come into users, and then click on a user, any user, or anybody in here, and be able to do attribute object level recovery. That's what I consider backup. This is backup to me. I can grab these attributes and restore them right back to where they came from. I can change them. I can do all kinds of things with them. It's a pretty cool technology. But let's start to talk about applications, right? Because they're the hard ones, right? So if we talk about SharePoint, how hard is it for Commvault to get back a document? And the good thing is it's not very hard at all. You just go through here, you just come in, drive it into your machine. There's my SharePoint. If I click on my documents, I can grab a document and I can recover that document. Now we give you multiple options. Where do you want to put it? Do you want to just restore the apples only? These are all things that we've been working on for many years with Microsoft to give you the best restore capabilities that you possibly can. So, we're good at what we do with backup. There's no doubt about it. But now we'll start to get into data management, and this is where I think we differentiate ourselves from anybody else in the industry. And by that, I'm talking about Exchange. And this look and feel that I'm going to show you will look the same whether you're Exchange online, on-prem, or online in O365. So some of the things you're going to see here are pretty powerful. So what I'm doing is, I'm in the Commvault GUI, and I'm going to say Browse and Restore. And I'll pick a time, I'm just going to take the most current. There's all the mailboxes I have loaded up. So I'm going to grab Randy's mailbox, because I always use my buddy Randy's mailbox, and I'm going to click on Randy's inbox. And it's going to take a little time. It might take 15 seconds or so for this to load up, because what's happening is it's going out to my cache, he's looking at my latest backup, and he's going to bring back that data for me in a visual format. And you can see over here, he just popped in and said, I'm processing over 10,000 items. So the reason I picked this mailbox is because it's very large, it has a lot of data in it, and it shows the capabilities of Commvault in this environment. And as you can see, I have page after page after page of email that I can go through within the environment. But I want to look for a specific email and follow with me on this because this is important. So I'm looking for this email called the Walmart story, okay? And I'm looking in Randy's mailbox, but I don't want to go through the pages and pages to do it. So I did a search, and he found it. Now, I could take this email and I can restore it. The important thing to understand here is this email is dated. It's dated 11/21/2006, which means I've had this under management since Exchange 2003. The last backup was done then. I'm restoring this file to Exchange 2013, which is what I'm running on my environment today. And I can just grab it and do it very simply as an IT pro, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to break down now, and we're going to do something. We're going to step back a little bit, and we're going to become an end user. And I am now Randy DeMille, Mr. End User at your company, and I'm in my Outlook. And I know I have that Walmart story in here, so I'm going to look for it because my boss needs it for some kind of compliance issue that we're having with this email. So I do a search, and I accidentally do a shift delete. So obviously for the demo, this is what I want to do. So I can actually say to you, the file is gone. There we go, look for it, it's gone. Deleted item retention's off, so we don't have it. We're going to go down below, and what you'll see is there's this third folder down here called the Contents Store. This folder is what we call a virtual repository of Commvault's backed up data. So the end user has access to his email. Even if it's in O365, he can see his email through this and have access to it even if O365 is down. It's still live because it's Commvault's virtual repository. It's not in Exchange. So if I click on the inbox, what's going to happen is he's going to load this up for me. Okay, and he loads up the inbox for me. And now I come and I say, I need that Walmart story. I just deleted it by mistake. And he finds it. And there it is. I can see it over here. I can fold, I can move it, I can just grab it, and I can actually copy it back into my inbox. And if I go back into my live inbox, things went well. We just did a cross-platform restore of an Exchange 2003 backup email into Exchange 2013 from Outlook without IT support. That's a pretty powerful demo, what I just did right there. What's most important to understand about that demo is this. That end user's data, because here's my Exchange, here's my archives to Azure, that data came from Azure, because the only content I have is Randy DeMille's mailbox in here, and you can see my storage device is Azure. So I just had an end user do a restore cross-platform from Azure of a file without calling your IT department. So when we start talking about the power of a product, this is the power of this product, right? So if we continue down and we say, okay, well, how does Commvault handle e-discovery? Well, let's take a look. So if I come into our Commvault Search engine, which is just another web browser that I get into the front end just like this, I can come into the advanced search feature and give you all kinds of fun stuff. But I'm just going to do a Bing type search and look for the Walmart story. Okay? So same file we just found over in the Commvault GUI, we just found again. Oh, my session has timed out. So we're going to log in. So let's do it. So you really can get a view of how we have to get in here. Okay. What did I do? Okay, so now we get in the front end of search again. Let's break this one down and do the Walmart story. Okay. And now what's going to happen is it's going to come up and show me those 4 versions of the files we just found in the Commvault GUI in Outlook. So we found them again, and they're still from 2006. And I'm going to take those files from a compliance officer version and say I want to put a legal hold on this. So now the file was created in 2006. It was backed up on Exchange 2003. It's been migrated through our systems all the way to 2013, and it's been archived to the Azure cloud and now put on legal hold. That's the power of this product, right? Bringing all these pieces of these technologies together as easy as I just did it. And that's why Commvault is really as good as we are. So if we go back to the GUI, what we're going to do is talk about, obviously, how do we create an Azure storage policy. So for us, it's come to our libraries, come to our cloud storage library, take a look at all the cloud storage libraries we support. Obviously, Microsoft Azure's the one we're working with today. You get blob.core.net, you plug in your keys, and you're away you can go. So it's that simple to be able to manage this data. It's that simple to be able to continue, your data management move and migration to the cloud. And we bring all those technologies together in one single stack. The last piece I'm going to go through is compute. So Azure Compute, right? So if I took my whole infrastructure that I just showed on-prem and want to run that in Azure 100%, we're able to do that today. So I could come over here and I'm going to make a connection up into Azure, okay? So let's do an Azure virtual connection. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to come into my remote desktop and I'm going to connect up into Azure. Okay. So here we are. Now I'm going to launch Commvault in Azure. Down piece, you can go view. So the same GUI that I was just playing with on-prem is loading up right now in Azure in 100% compute. So if this is something that you as an organization are looking to move to, just know we have this today. And if I looked here, you can see I'm managing Linux data down here. I'm managing Oracle data. I'm managing Exchange. I'm managing Active Directory. I'm managing SharePoint, just like it would be on-prem. So taking your whole data center and moving it up into Azure is definitely a possibility today. And if that's the future for you guys, Commvault's all in. We're ready to go. We're happy to assist. So with that, I'm actually going to be breaking stuff down, and I think I'm pretty much done. So I want to thank everybody for their time. Really appreciate Microsoft giving me this half an hour to give you an update on Commvault and Microsoft and how the great partnership has been working the last 10 to 15 years. And I hope to hear from you soon.
All right, Lenny, great presentation and demo. Thank you for that. And before we close down, are there any questions for Lenny and Commvault? All right, looks like there's not. So have a great weekend, everybody, and next Chalk Talk will be 2 weeks from now. Thank you for your time, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.